بلادي بلاد الإبا والشمم ومغنى المروءة منذ القدم. بلادي بلاد الإبا والشمم ومغنى المروءة منذ القدم. يعانق فيها السماح الهمم وفيها تصون العهود الذمم. ستبقى بلادي منار الأمم لتمنع عنها دياج الظلم. باسم المهيمن
Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best, 'cause it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best. Yes, it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the river Tyne.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مساء الخير جميعا، أهلا بكم في برنامج كاس مع وليد، حلقة خاصة بمناسبة اليوم الوطني، يوم سعيد على دولتنا العزيزة. نرحب بالسعودي ديف. ويلكم ديف.
Assalamu alaikum, Al-Walid. I just would like to wish all the people in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia a very happy National Day. And let's put it in Geordie. What's here, lads? Hope you're having a great party and yeah, you're having a good time. And congratulations on your National Day.
Thank you, Dave. But first, I will get blame a lot because is that the way I teach you how to wear a Saudi shemagh?
No, no.
Have you
I've
forget?
tried,
I know it's been a
Yeah.
year since I was in
Yes.
Newcastle, but did you forget easily?
Yes, I did. I've tried all sorts of ways to get it put it on properly.
But good job
Yeah.
anyway. Good job. It just needs
I've tried.
little bit of adjustment.
Yeah, next time I'll have it better. Next time
All right.
I'll have it.
Of course,
Give
Dave. That
When it fits us.
it's been a while. Okay, it's been a while since we have a show together, and طبعا مع ديف كنا يعني الفترة الماضية بذلنا جهد كبير في الحلقات في وقت السمر ويندو ترانسفير ويندو، سوق الانتقالات الصيفية، فأخذنا يعني بريك من يعني هو تحديدا. أنا ما أخذت بريك تقريبا، ديف أخذ بريك شوية من البرامج لأنه تعبنا صراحة في سوق الانتقالات. طبعا يهني ديف من نيوكاسل باليوم الوطني للسعودية، ويعني يقول لي ان شاء الله اوعدك بعرف البس. انا علمته كيف يلبس من سنه تقريبا، لكن اعتقد لازم اروح مره ثانيه. I have to go to Newcastle to tell or educate Dave how to wear it again. Okay, so we're gonna talk about many stuff, Dave. But first, يعني as we agreed, we'll ask you some questions and we'll try to sum up in Arabic for translation.
Yeah.
What you can tell us about Newcastle right now? What's the word in street regarding Newcastle, Dave, after the last results?
Big fears after last night's international games. Both Alexander Isak and Bruno Guimaraes have picked up injuries, which means there may be a doubt for next weekend's games. Don't know how severe the injuries are, but which is quite scary that we've got more injuries around our key players like Bruno and Isaac and Wilson. Maxi's out, so we just got Bruno back, and just a bit scary that we've got injuries coming up again.
Why it seems Newcastle players got injury a lot?
I don't know.
Coincidence, bad coincidence, or the way we play, or what do you think? Because I've been said and told that because the physical therapy team But I explained this. This is not the reason.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with the physical therapy, and I don't think it's anything to do with the training. What it might have to do with, which is why we're looking for new training facilities, is that the ground where we train isn't good enough for the players to train on. It's actually quite hard, and it doesn't. It causes impact injuries. You know yourself from your job. You know the impact injuries with ankles and knees. Causes problems with hamstring, calf strains, Achilles tendons, because the ground is too hard, which is why we're looking for a new training ground, a new training area. This has always been the problem with Newcastle injuries.
Always, even before.
Yeah, even before. This is nothing new. This is something they identified before.
Didn't come to attention of the owners and they change it.
Yeah,
This is
why we're looking for a new training facility. This is why we're doing that. You know, we need to get new training facilities. This is something that they identified. It's a problem that the physiotherapists identified from last year. So let's hope that we get a new training facilities as quickly as possible. There was even talk a few years ago under Alan Pardew, I think it was under Pardew, where they were talking about stopping doing training at Benton and doing the training at St James's Park. But the problem with then would be with the pitch would take a bit of a beating, and the pitch might not be best conditions for match days, so they didn't go ahead and do that. So
طبعا ديف يقول الآن في نيوكاسل يعني الحديث حول الإصابات. رأينا الحين عندنا برونو مصاب في البرازيل، آيزك في السويد، اوريدي عندنا إصابة ويلسون اللي ما نحن متأكدين من رجوعه، إصابة ماكسيمان، شيلفي، مجموعة من الإصابات، وهذا خبر طبعا غير جيد. سألته على الأسئلة اللي تجيني خصوصا إنه العلاج الطبيعي، إنه أنا قلت لكم يعني قبل إذا ما هو السبب. بعدين قلت أنا يمكن الطريقة اللي يلعب فيها يمكن نيوكاسل، لكن أشار ديف لنقطة مهمة اللي هي أرضية ملعب البنتون بارك، مركز التدريبات الخاص بنيوكاسل، إنه يقول لك من سنوات وحنا نعاني من هذا الملعب، إنه أرضية صلبة كثير، تكررت إصابات فيها يعني بسبب أرضية الملعب، وهذا سبب المحاولات الجارية بعمل ملعب تدريبات جديد في نيوكاسل، وسعي الملاك باستعجال يعني هذا الموضوع. ألم باردو مدرب سابق اقترح، مدرب لنيوكاسل مدرب سابق اقترح أنه يتم نقل التدريبات إلى ملعب سان جيمس بارك، لكن يعني طلبوا بالرفض لأنه التدرب على أرضية سان جيمس بارك راح يخرب أرضية الملعب. محمد asking, will Alexander play as a winger, Dave?
No, I don't think he will. Although he's good at coming in from the wing, why play somebody who can score goals as a winger? We need somebody who can score goals at the minute, and he's the only one that who can do that. I still don't know how far off Wilson is, and I don't think Chris Wood's up to the fact of playing centre forward. So I think we've got to persist with Isak up front. But he doesn't. But he looks. It's the same. He looks the same as what Joe Linton did when Joe Linton came. He looked out of sorts up front by himself. And maybe playing on the wing might suit him best. It might suit him best. But honestly, I can't answer that question that day. That question will have to be left to Eddie Howe. You know, whether Isak will play on the wing or whether he'll play as a free player up front. And I think you probably play him as a free player who will be allowed to move around on either wing, either side of the pitch and through the middle. But that leaves who's going to play, who's going to run into his positions when he runs out of those positions. So who's going to step up to that? At the minute, it looks like it's poor old Miggy. And poor old Miggy looks absolutely shattered every time he comes off the pitch because he runs himself into the ground, you know. So let's hope that Maxi's fit soon, and we hope that Wilson's fit soon, because we're going to need those players in the next few games.
طبعا ديف يقول انه بالنسبه للسؤال، سؤال محمد، انه هل الكسندر ايزك راح يلعب كجناح؟ ديف رايه الشخصي طبعا، يقول لك ايدي هاو هو اللي بيجاوب هالسؤال، لك رايه الشخصي انه ليش نجيب لاعب هداف ونخليه يلعب جناح؟ اننا بحاجه الى هداف يستبعد ذلك. ثانك يو ترولز. طيب نروح. we would like to talk a bit about Bournemouth. Why do you think we draw? Is it now last year same time last year we were the bottom of the league and we were sad, and now it was before the takeover and we were bottom of the league. After 1 year now we are in the mid of the table, number 10th standing table, and we're still sad.
We're still sad because we're not winning games as we should do. We're dominating games, but we're not winning them. We're not scoring enough goals, which is the same old problem. Same old problem. We need somebody to score goals. And what we missed against Bournemouth was a Maxi, because there was no way we could break them down. We couldn't break them down through the wings. We wanted somebody to go through the middle, and we couldn't get that. We couldn't get that done. So yeah, I've got my granddaughter here trying to bring one of the puppies in.
What, he's wiggling for you?
So
Are you sweating?
I am sweating.
Really?
So she's bringing one of the puppies in for you. There we are. Say hello. Say hello to
Hi.
Sandra.
Hello.
This is the puppy. This
So
is
maybe he's not recognize you because what you're wearing,
he's Buster.
or is
Yeah.
it familiar?
Yeah.
He said I am in Saudi Arabia now.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
طبعا ديف يقول انه
Get up.
سألته أنا سؤال إنه ليش يعني السنة اللي
Sorry,
راحت كنا حزينين إنه المركز الأخير في نفس هذا الوقت، وكنا طبعا قبل التيك أوفر، الآن بعد التيك أوفر المركز العاشر، وما زال في نوع من الزعل إنه ليش يعني. قال ديف إنه المشكلة لطالما كانت نفسها في نيوكاسل، إنه ما نسجل أهداف. Okay, Dave, you said the problem is still the same. We didn't score. We score 8. We score 8 goals. We concede 7.
Mm-hmm.
So good number, 8 goals in I believe 7 games.
Yeah.
5-1-1 7. Sorry, yeah, 7 games.
You won't.
So one goal a game.
Yeah, but we should have scored. We should have scored 3 or 4 against Crystal Palace. We should have scored at least 2 or 3 against Bournemouth. You know, and in one of those games, we scored 3 against Manchester City. So, you know, yes, we scored. You know, that in itself says everything. Yeah, we scored 3 again. We scored 3 against Manchester City, yet we couldn't win that game. Now, Manchester City are, you know, they are the best team in the UK, in Britain at the moment. Arsenal are playing very well at the moment as well. But if you're not able to put the ball in the back of the net, then you will struggle. We're not going to be anywhere as bad as what we were last year. I still think there's more to come. There's more to come from Newcastle. I think with if we can get Maxi fit, keep Maxi fit, and get that player who can pick up the ball and run at defences, which is what we haven't got at the moment. We haven't got that player who can pick up the ball and run at defences. And we've missed Maxi them last 3 games. We've missed Maxi. We need him back quickly. It just proves how big of an asset Maxi is to Newcastle. And then anybody who wanted to sell him should now look at the fact that how we struggled without his possession and his ability to take a defence on. has caused us problems, because the other players, as good as they are, Joe Linton had a great time. He's still playing very well. Although his game against Bournemouth was possibly one of his worst in the last few, certainly since the takeover. And Mickey just wants that extra touch too much. And Trippier's final ball against Bournemouth was pretty woeful. His crossing was pretty woeful. Now, I don't know if he's been feeling it, but I think Maxi is our biggest. He's our biggest miss. We need him up front to supply players like Miggy, to supply Isak, to supply Joe Linton. So get him fit as quickly as possible.
طبعا ديف يقول انه صح انه اعطيته احصائيه انه 8 اهداف نيوكاسل سجلها استقبل 7. 8 اهداف في 7 مباريات، يعني عدد لا باس به، يعني معدل اكثر من هدف في المباراه الواحده. لكن يرجع يقول ديف اوكي، بس لا تنسى حط في الاعتبار انه تقريبا نصف هذه الاهداف اللي هي 8، 3 منها نصفها تقريبا فقط في مباراه واحده مع اقوى الفرق اللي هو مانشستر سيتي. معناته انت سجلت نصف الاهداف ضد اقوى الفرق مانشستر سيتي وبغيت تفوز، ما قدرت تسجل على الفرق الثانيه، ففي مشكله. وايضا شدد على انه سانت ماكسيمان فعلا افتقدناه، لانه فعلا هو يعني افضل لاعب في الصناعه في العرضيات. شفنا عرضيات تريبير المفترض انه عرضياته كويسه، شفنا ما هي في المباراه الاخيره عرضيات سيئه. فمع انه كان في وود وايزك، نتوقع كروستات حلوه من تريبير لكن ما صارت. واهداف ضيعناه كثيره في كريستال بالاس. في مشكله في خط الهجوم، وتتضح اكثر بشكل كبير هذه المشكله عندما يغيب ماكسيمان. فولهام جيم, what do you think is going to change? What do you think Eddie Howe, Dave, could do different?
I believe it all depends on what the state of injuries are between Isak and Bruno. If Isak and Bruno have got injuries which are going to keep them out of that game, honestly, it means bringing in Murphy. It means probably bringing in Longstaff. Or is John Joe Shelby ready to come back in? Possibly too early for John Joe. It means playing Chris Wood up front. Who do you go for? Let's just hope the injuries aren't as bad as what we've heard. You know, for Isak to be sent home, Isak has left the Swedish squad and he's come home to get treatment. Now that sounds to me fairly serious. And the football club have told him to come home to get treatment. So let's just hope that the injuries aren't as bad as what they were, because honestly, I couldn't tell you, going against Fulham and coming up against somebody like Mitrovic, who's got something to prove. He's now doing what he said he could do in the Premier League, albeit with Fulham. So I don't worry, but what I'm concerned about is that we're starting to pick up silly injuries again, and that could affect how we actually go into those games against Fulham, against Brentford. You know, we've got to be able to sort that out.
طبعا سأل ديف عن مباراة فولهام ايش ممكن يغير ايدي هاو، لكن الجواب كان انه المشكلة مو هنا، المشكلة انه في لاعبين باقي يلعبون. إيزاك مصاب، ويلسون ما ندري من عودته، شيلفي يعني راح تتأخر عودته كما هو الحال مع سانت ماكسيمان. فهنا الإشكالية الكبرى يعني. لكن أنا أعتقد أنه أعتقد نيوكاسل يعني I believe Newcastle will win, but regardless, Dave, regardless who's ready to play, or is going to be different information, different on the way of play.
It depends,
how
because
learn something.
With Trulls is hit the nail on the head with the fact that if Shelby was fit, yes, we could play Shelby in that midfield role to push Bruno further up the pitch. The thing is, Longstaff and Willock in the last 2 games honestly, I don't know how they actually can pull on a shirt. Both of them have been woeful. Both of them are woeful. And you would think that with Shelby being out and with Bruno having these injuries that he had, that they would have at least tried to make a bigger impression. But both of them are just not up to. They're not up to standard. They're not up to standard, and it wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if Longstaff and Willock are allowed to leave if bids come in for them. So again, what Trolls are saying, yeah, Wilson might be back. If Wilson's back, then we don't fear the loss of Isak. But we need Maxi back, and that's the way we've got to play. We've got to play with somebody who's prepared to run at the defence, because there's nothing more scary than having a winger or a centre midfield player who can run at you. And then that ties up defenders. That frees up centre forwards. So that's what we need to look at. Can we get Maxi back on the pitch to do what he knows he can do? But it also says that if Maxi gets injured again, come January, we're going to need to look for a player who's got the similar abilities as what Maxi has to keep that level going.
Speaking of Maxi, I remember right after the draw against Bournemouth, he posted something on Instagram that he will be back soon.
That's good. That's good. I hope that is true, because even a half.
But Dave, this is not the point. I mean, right after the game, is it kind of a message that I will do it for you guys. I will don't be worried. I will be back. Is it that confident? Is it that a message? What do you believe? What do you think?
I think there's a confidence there in what he's saying. I think he's saying, "Look, don't worry, I'll be back." And I think that's what we have to hold on that. We have to hold on that, and that he will be back, and he will create the chances, whether that's for Wilson or whether that's for Isak or whether that's for Miggy. You know, he can do. Well, Maxi can do damage, and I think if he's playing, he will damage Fulham, and he will damage Brentford. So yes, let's get Maxi back. Let's get some goals scored. Let's make sure.
But Dave, I mean, the timing of the Instagram story, the timing. Why not before? Why right after? Or this is just coincidence, maybe?
It's because we're worried. Because people are worried. So they're trying to bolster people's hopes and saying, "Oh, wait, look, don't be worried. We've got Maxi coming back." You know, so there's a bit of worry there. But what we also can't do, our lead, is say to Fulham or say to Brentford, well, Maxi will be back. Maxi's definitely going to be back, because what they'll do is they'll set up their team to deal with a Maxi. So we don't want them thinking Maxi's fit until he turns up on the day. So they're not training to deal with Maxi. They're training to deal with Longstaff, or they're training to deal with Miggy, you know. So
there was a long interview between Alan Shearer and Eddie Howe, and I translated and I read it all last week. There was a part talking, Eddie Howe talking about Saint Maximin, and it was like I read it as a message to Saint Maximin. Eddie Howe says, I remember said that I'm glad I'm Newcastle now, not before 5 years, because now I put myself more into the player's shoes. I understand the player, I understand how difficult of injuries, as Eddie Howe suffered a lot from injuries back in his career. I put myself in how Saint Maximin thinking. It's look like a message to Saint Maximin as well.
Yeah.
What's your comment on it?
It's like I said, look, just get on with it. Just accept it. Just get on with it. Injuries happen. Get on with it. Stop whinging about it. Stop moaning on the pitch. Get on with it. You know, he's got to have a bit. He's got to be a bit more. He's got to have a stronger backbone. He's got to have a stronger backbone, not just giving up all the time. Not when he gets the ball taken off him, falling over. Get up with it and get on with it. Stop whinging about little injuries.
Muhammad asking about Shar playing in the middle. We see this in Switzerland somehow. And for me, I think he could be, but is he all to play defense midfielder? Why he's been why he didn't play in this position? Do you think? And as Bruno says, I prefer to play in number 8 position. So why this not happen yet?
I think it's because we're trying to get players used to the way we play. That's not so much Shaw, and that's not so much Bruno. It's players like Dan Burn, it's players like Trippier, it's players like Target, who haven't been there that long. They've got to understand the way we want to play. So Shaw being in the middle, I don't know if that would be an answer, but it would help if we had a player like if we've got Botman and we've got Byrne playing the centre halves, and you play him in the middle rather than playing him. And
did you think Eddie Howe consider this, or he didn't think about, or he didn't see it's necessarily?
I think he's trying different situations against the lower teams. The teams we class as lower ones anyway. Teams like Bournemouths and Brentford's. He's trying different formations because I think against Manchester City we had the Botmans and Burns on the pitch. We had that set up. So let's just hope he's trying players in different positions to see how they will actually play. But I don't think he expected to have Bruno out for so long. I don't think he expected Wilson would be out for so long. And I certainly don't think he expected Maxi to be out for so long. 3 games for those players that's big. For the games that they have missed. You can't legislate for injuries, so he's having to make do, which is what we've always had to do in Newcastle. We've always ended up having to make do. We haven't had the strength of squad that we should have, and we still haven't. We still haven't got that strong squad. We've still got players who aren't as big a names as what we'd expect to see. We've still got the Murphys, we've still got the Willocks, we've still got those players who possibly, under a strong Newcastle team wouldn't get a game.
Brilliant. Will Nick Pope start the England squad?
No.
Henderson? Because
Possibly.
Pickford injured.
Yeah, possibly. I think a lot of people are shouting for Henderson at the moment. But I think Popey's, my feelings on Popey, I said to you in the transfer window, when we were talking about going for Henderson, I said, well, I think we should go for Pope. I think Pope's a much better goalkeeper than Henderson. Henderson, people only talking about Henderson because he was with Man United.
But why expect Henderson to be in England, not Nick Pope?
Because of the fact was he was an ex-Man United player. Because he was in the Man United squad. The fact is, what I didn't realise was Henderson wasn't playing for Man United. He was a number 2, whereas Popey was playing for Burnley. He was playing in competitive matches. And I think Popey's a better goalkeeper. Popey's a much better goalkeeper.
And Southgate didn't see this, do you think?
No. Southgate's another one of these players who looks at where his players are coming from. And if his players are coming from Liverpool,
Pickford, Everton.
But Pickford, we didn't have a great choice of goalkeepers a few years ago, which is why Pickford got picked. I think if you'd had Henderson's and Popes around at that time, then I think those would have been picked before Pickford, because at the time we only had players like Ben Foster and Joe Hart and players like that. No, they weren't. Yeah, that's why Pickford got the job.
طبعا ديف يقول أنا أتوقع جواب سؤالك محمد إنه نيك بوب هو المفروض يشوف إنه حارس إنجلترا الأول، لكن يتوقع إنه بيكون الحارس هندرسون لأنه لاعب سابق في مانشستر، بالرغم إنه مانشستر يونايتد بالرغم إنه كان احتياطي الدخية. قلت طيب أوكي هذا يعني طيب ساوث جيت كذا بيفكر يعني تتوقع؟ قال إيه لأنه يحب اللاعبين المفرق الكبيرة. قلت طيب أوكي بيكفورد حارس إيفرتون هو الحارس الأول. قال إيه من كم سنة لما اختير بيكفورد ما كان في حارس إنجليزي جيد، كان هذا السبب. Troll says we should have gone for Seko Fofana. He would have been great. Is it the one he went to Chelsea?
I am red hot.
It's okay.
A bit better next time. Fofana, yeah, but we weren't going to get Fofana. Not when he's going for the money that he's gone for. What we should have done was we should have gone for Tielemans. We should have put the money up there for Tielemans. You know, we should have done that. So what they're talking about now is that Tielemans might be free, might be a deal in the winter transfer for half of what he was actually being touted at last month. But I think Fofana was out of our price range. You know, Fofana was well out of our price range.
Coach Abdul Khaliq says good evening الوليد and Dave. Sanor, Coach Abdul Khaliq. Okay, Trolls, what do you guys think of Bear playing ahead of Botman? In my eyes, is insane. Botman hasn't lost many ground duels and lost none of aerial duels.
Trolls, I think it's the same situation as what we had with Bruno when Bruno first signed. It's getting players used to how we play and what we want to see from them. And I think Eddie Howe is an astute coach, and I think he sees players who may not be able to adjust quickly to the English Premier League, and perhaps Byrne has that ability to adjust to the Premier League. He's been in the Premier League for a long time. Whereas Botman, you know, he's come from second-rate football division compared to the Premiership. He might take some time to get used to how the English Premier League games actually go. So let's give Eddie Howe that credit that he's making sure that Botman is ready to fight those big duels, because there are some players. I can imagine, is Botman going to be how's he going to handle players like Mitrovic? You know, elbows and heads, and you know, is he going to be able to handle all that? Because he hasn't had to put up with that before, where he's played before. You know. So
speaking of Botman, what do you think of? We remember the news yesterday. He didn't called by Van Gaal, coach of Netherlands first team. He didn't get the call up because even with injury of defender Indy, Botman was expecting to be called. So hours later, Netherlands under 21 called Botman, and Botman says, "I'm sorry, I will not. I will just want to stay to focus on Newcastle." But we are the fans. We get it. He's not the reason is to focus on Newcastle, because nobody will say this. Not joining big teams like Netherlands national team, who have possibility to win the European League, big levels to, or maybe final, as many times in World Cup, just because to focus on a club which is seem not to professional. But we get it that he's do that because as a replay, or sorry, as a reaction, not get called by first team. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think he's a bit miffed. I think he's definitely a bit upset by not getting called up into the first team squad. He has ambitions to play in the World Cup as well, and you would think in a game like the Nations League that he gets a chance to prove himself before that happens. So I think he's unhappy at not being selected, and then being selected for the under-21s. He thinks that's beneath him for the level of player that he actually is supposed to be. What I would like to have seen him do is to go and play for the under-21s and prove and show them that he is the player that he is. But look, players want to play for their national team. It's a sense of national pride. And if he doesn't get selected, there's some players going to be very, very hurt by it. We've had things like that before with England, with other teams. If they don't get selected, they then decide not to play for them again. I think players like Botman have got a big future. And I don't rate Van Gaal anyway. Van Gaal, never liked Van Gaal.
Yeah, he's old school.
Yeah. Don't rate him.
And a big chance to be sacked after World Cup.
Yeah.
And maybe Botman will call again. And I'm sure Botman himself, he knows that is he really deserve a spot or not.
Mm-hmm.
He can know, because when Indy injured, I think he know that he should be the one who replaced him.
Yeah.
But not to be called, he got the feeling that the coach didn't want him for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hope this is for the best, and as it is, we can't talk much about it. Anyway, let's talk about the takeover, Dave.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks exactly will be the takeover anniversary, and yes, 23 years.
October, yeah.
Yeah, and last year it was same time of arbitration, if you remember.
Yeah.
With Keith Patterson, and we remember it's like yesterday.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's hard to believe that it's a year since we had the arbitration meetings and stuff like that. I remember sitting in front of the computer with being one of the 32,000 people who joined that arbitration meeting online, and seeing how bad the Premier League's defence was, and it was shocking. That in 2 weeks' time we're sitting around, and all of a sudden the rumours started going. There's something happening. There's something happening. The owners are in Newcastle. The owners are here. The owners are there. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then, when it broke, it was absolutely amazing. So we'll celebrate on the 7th of October. I don't think we've got a game on the 7th of October.
We have at 8 against Brentford, St. James Park.
Yeah. So what an atmosphere that would be. 1 year after the takeover, 1 day after the takeover. How amazing is that going to be? How amazing.
What you can tell us about this event, Dave?
Nothing at the moment.
No. This one. I don't know if you read it, or did you take a look? This is event by Betty Greaves.
Right.
He will host David Ginola in Hilton Newcastle Gateshead Hotel.
All right.
With Amanda and Merdad as a guest speakers.
No, that'll be good. I've never seen that. That would be.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
That would be an amazing event. That would be an amazing event to attend.
I thought you know about it because I want to ask you first of all why Ginola? This first question, and
I don't know why.
is that it, or maybe another celebration, or maybe Queen Elizabeth passed away reason maybe to minimize this? Because in my head, the takeover celebration, I thought it's like more events or something in St. James Parks.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why Ginola would be picked to do the talk, but he's a player who was lauded at St James's Park, so he's a great player, great orator. He likes to talk. So yeah, I think I don't know why it will be Ginola, but the fact is that we've got Mirdad and Amanda taking part in it. Maybe so. You may be right that it was probably planned for a bit earlier. If it hadn't have been for Her Majesty passing away, it might have been earlier. I don't know. It might have all been planned earlier. I really don't know why this is going ahead. It looks like it would be a great event to attend. With Mirdad and Amanda there, so it'll be interesting to hear some of the questions. It'll be interesting to hear what some of the questions would be about, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions about the takeover, about what we knew, what Keith Patterson knew, and why the Premier League caved in so easily after.
Do you think a lot of secrets will be revealed?
Nah, I don't think it will. I think that end of the year there was non-disclosure agreements that will be in place.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anything's going to happen unless anything else comes about that the Premier League try to put on us.
Does the fan talks about takeover anniversary Newcastle, or haven't they get much talk to it, or maybe still early?
It's still early, yeah. I think I think when we get to the week before, you'll probably see a lot more coming through from possibly off War Flags. They'll have some sort of event planned for the game against Brentford. They'll have a big display. I presume there'll be something to do with the takeover. It'll be a big event against Brentford. I would no doubt it would be a lot of that would be covering about what happened and the celebrations.
Yeah, exactly. This if I will attend the game, it would be I wish it to be Brentford.
Yeah.
All right. So takeover is gonna be after 2 weeks, and this event will be held. And what about you, Dave? Anything you hear about maybe other events by fans, or maybe in the quayside, or
no? There's no
nothing at the moment.
Nothing else planned. I think
maybe nearer the date.
Yeah, maybe near the date you'll probably hear a lot more things near the date if there are any sort of events to happen. But it would surprise me if there was going to be any other events other than the one War Flags will do or Gallagher Flags will do. I think that might be the only thing. But then again, we don't know what Amanda and Mirdad might have planned. Because we don't know if the football club will do something. It would suggest to me, I would suggest that they should. I would suggest that the football club should do something, make it a Saudi day. Get everybody wearing thobes, ones that fit anyway.
Maybe soon. Hopefully.
Soon. Yeah.
Troll says, I agree. Botman has proved he needs no introduction already. Totally agree, Trolls. My friend Amber says, why Eddie Howe insists to use this or to play the same players in different positions, although he have many substitution players which they didn't play them.
Yeah.
Why
Right.
he didn't give a chance to them? Amber asking.
I think Eddie Howe is the sort of manager who tries to give players the chance to prove themselves. And if the players aren't doing it, if they're not actually producing the results, he'll make changes. But if he thinks those players can achieve those results, then I think he will persist in playing them, whether it's the same players in the same positions, or trusting the players that are actually on the pitch compared to the players that are on the bench. So he's that sort of manager. He has a lot of trust in his squad and his players that he picks. He thinks he's picking the best team to win the game, and he expects those players to do that. And only if they're struggling that you make a change, which is why we only made 2 substitutions against Bournemouth. You know, we only made the 2 substitutions. I think it was 2. Whereas Bournemouth made the full. They made the full 5 substitutions. But that also says to me that he hasn't got the quality on the bench. What he needs. He didn't think young Elliot Anderson was up to it. He couldn't. You know, he was. It was a desperation to get the points, and he wanted those points to come from the players that he picked. And he's got to be ready to recognise that sometimes his plans aren't going to work, and he's got to be prepared to change it. Not wait until the last 10 minutes to bring 2 players on and try to win the game in the last 10 minutes.
طبعا جواب ديف عنبر على السؤال انه يعني اول شيء يعطي اسري ايدي هاو يعطيهم فرصه لتطوير انفسهم اللي هم اللاعبين الاحتياطيين. لما يدخل لاعبين احتياط اثناء المباراه ما اعطوا الانطباع الكافي انهم جاهزين. شفنا احنا عطى فرصه بدون ذكر اسماء، عطى فرصه كذا لاعب في كتبديلات احتياطيه لكن ما قاموا بالامر المطلوب. فهذا السبب يعني انه ما يتم اشراكهم، لانه اوريدي شاف يعني مستواهم في التبديلات. Okay, good night to Rose. Dave, we hear that something regarding FA. If you could please explain a little bit about FA, that they want to make the domestic cups, changing the rules. If you just put it in simple words for us.
I don't know what rules they want to change. I don't know why they'd want to change the rules. The domestic cups, unless it's to do what they're looking to do because of the postponed games because of the death of Her Majesty, and the fact is that we've got the World Cup, which is
so it's just this year, not every year.
It'll just be this year. What they'll do is they'll not make games. They'll just take games straight to penalties after full time. They'll not do the extra time. They'll just be straight to penalties. They tried it when the pandemic was on, when they were trying to get games done. Then that's when they first started bringing it in, not for the FA Cup, but certainly for the Carabao Cup. They went straight to penalties. They didn't have replays. They didn't have extra time. Straight to penalties. Get the result done. Get it over with. Yes, and I think because we've got such a protracted season this season, because of the World Cup, and this is why I can never understand why they agreed to hold the World Cup in Qatar in our winter time, because European games are played traditionally August through to March, through to April.
Yeah, because the weather.
Because of the weather, yeah.
The weather in summer it will be hot. But Dave, the majority opinion regarding this, okay, we understand the lack of time and the World Cup, but about teams, which are a lot of teams have no international players. So it should be a chance for them to win the trophies. So the big clubs who have call up, who have players, no need to play. Tottenham, for example, or Arsenal use the substitution of
those teams anyway, our lead. It's all about this stuff. It's all about money, man. It's all about revenue. Manchester City's and the Arsenals and Tottenhams still want that revenue. In an FA Cup game or an FA Cup run or a League Cup run and a cup final win gets you qualified for next year's European games, whether it's Champions League or it's Europa Conference League or Europa League. So it all means in the long run money. And if those teams, such as the Arsenals and all that, who have got the international players, if they, I mean, I was watching results from the under-21 league the other night, and I think Tottenham got beat off one of the lower division teams 4-0, the Tottenham under-21s. So it just proves that our Premier League teams haven't got that big of they're not that really good at the lower end. Their younger players aren't that good. So you bring those players in to play in the cup games, then your Arsenals and Chelseas and Tottenhams are going to get knocked out because they haven't got the best players, and they're going to get the lower division teams. Yes, great for the story. Great stories about getting teams, lower teams winning things. But I can guarantee you, owners of those big teams will not be happy about the lost revenue. No way. And less chances for them to qualify for European competitions next season. That's big.
طبعا الآن موضوع الشغل الشاغل في إنجلترا عموما، كأس الاتحاد، كأس الكاراباو اللي كأس الحليب سابقا. المشكلة اللي جارية الآن بسبب يعني حطوا أسباب، إنه بسبب يعني وفاة الملكة إليزابيث، بسبب كأس العالم، إنه القوانين نبي نغيرها شوي استثنائيا هذا الموسم. مثلا معروف كأس الاتحاد إذا تعادل الفريق تعادل المباراة، أظن 3 مرات أعتقد الإعادة، بعدها يروحون بلنتيات ضربات جزاء. إنه بالعادة إذا تعادل الفريق يلعبون مرة ثانية. فهذه المباريات تعتبر مدخول كبير للأندية خصوصا الصغيرة لما تنعاد المباراة في حالة التعادل. وثانيا طبعا يعني اعتراضهم الأندية، طب خلاص يعني مثلا أنا كنادي عادي أو ما عندي لاعبين في المنتخبات في كأس العالم، يعني شايف 32 منتخب في كأس العالم، مو شرط إنه يعني ولا يشكل ولا يمكن 1% من الدوري الإنجليزي اللاعبين يعني يعني المستدعين للأندية أو للمنتخبات. فالأندية تقول مثلا إنه خلاص أنتم الأندية اللي عندكم لاعبين دوليين عشان كأس العالم لا تلعبونهم، مشوا السنة هذه بدون اللاعبين الدوليين، العبوا بدون لاعبين الدوليين، تريحونهم عشان كأس العالم في البطولات زي كأس الاتحاد وكأس الكاراباو. بدأ يقول لا، إن هذول الأندية طماعة راح تبغى تكسب كل والله أحيانا ديف أحس إنه يفهم علي عربي بالضبط. يقولك خلينا نكسب، يعني لا، إنه ما يبغون يفرطون في أي بطولة، إنهم لازم يلعبون في كل المباريات كل البطولات باللاعبين الكبار حتى لو كانوا في مشاركين في كأس العالم منتخباتهم الدولية. فهنا الإشكالية إنه الآن القوانين بيخلون خلاص كأس الاتحاد تعادلوا على طول ضربات جزاء، الكرباب نفس الشيء بدون وقت إضافي، فيصير يعني عشان يخففون الضغط على الفرق الكبيرة. الفرق الصغيرة ما عندها مشكلة تلعب، خصوصا الفرق اللي ما عندها كأس العالم لاعبين ما عندهم مشكلة يلعبون 3 4 5 مرات مباراة تنعاد، ما تفرق معاهم، بالعكس هذا مكسب لهم. طبعا هذا ملخص مشكلة كبيرة الآن تجري في إنجلترا. Does it, Dave, they decided already or still negotiating regarding this matter?
I think it'll already be decided. I think they'll be waiting for the mid-season break before they confirm it, because the next round of the Carabao Cup is not until the 9th of November, which is when some of the teams will be away. So on the World Cup, so the 9th of November for the third round of the the Carabao Cup. That's a long way off. Normally, we would have had the third round by now. The third round would have been held possibly in early September, if not the end of September, because the third round of the FA Cup is always traditionally played in January. Now, can you reasonably expect teams to be ready to play in the FA Cup? A lot of players will have just got back from the World Cup, if you think, on the 31st of December. So it's going to be quite tight. So that could also play into the hands of the lower division teams as well, because you're going to have players coming back from the World Cup who are going to be tired, who don't want to come back, who might be really tired, who might be looking to go on holiday, because they normally do go on holiday after the World Cup. They don't want to come back after the World Cup and go straight into a Premier League game. They'll all be complaining that they're too tired. They've got sore legs and they're getting this £1 million pay packet a week that weighs heavy on their heart. You know, so these players will come back tired. So it could be playing to the smaller teams' hands anyway. But I think the decision will be made at the mid-season break, which I think is in October, before teams fly off to play in the World Cup. So, you know, I think that's when the decision will be made. So those players know when they come back that they're going to be playing in a shorter cup competition.
طبعا القرار يعني لسه عليه كثير من الاجتماعات. ممكن في الفترة التوقف المقبلة ممكن يصير فيه يتم قرار، لأن المشكلة مو بس في قبل كأس العالم، برضو بعد كأس العالم في اللاعبين بيصيرون مرهقين فما يقدرون يكملون مباريات. فممكن يصير يعني تحتمل شيئين. ممكن إنه يصير القرار اللي تم اتخاذه أصلا في فترة كورونا ممكن يتكرر، وممكن يكون قرار مصلحة الأندية الصغيرة ويستمر بنفس القوانين، ويصير الأندية تضطر إنها ما تلاعب لاعبين هالمنتخبات على الأقل استثنائيا هذه السنة. كل شيء راح نشوفه في الفترة القادمة. يعني لسه هذا الموضوع ما زال فيه نقاش كثير. Speaking of World Cup, Dave, what do you think the chances?
I just want to go back a second on that, Ollie. I'll just go back a second.
Go on.
The changes to the cup games is nothing new. Beforehand, FA Cup games would be played. A replay would be played every time there was a draw, and it got to the point where sometimes there'd be third and fourth replays. You know, so you had the first game draw, second game draw, third game draw, and you might not get the result until you get the fourth game. Now, teams like Manchester United and Liverpool's of the day complained that they were playing far too many games. So they then decided to make it would go to a first replay, and if it was a draw after the first replay, it would be extra time, then penalties. But they still complained that was still too long. So they then changed it again. So they said, look, okay, competition would be game, extra time, then penalties. So it's worked all the way through before. This is nothing new. The big teams have always had too much say in those sort of games. So this is nothing new. Nothing new.
طبعا ديف يقول انه هذا الشيء مو جديد، دائما الانديه تشتكي، يعني الانديه الكبيره تشتكي من نظام البطوله هذا، مع انه نظام تاريخي وهذا تميزت فيه. انا انصح اللي يحبون يعني تفاصيل كثيره يتابعون سلسله اعتقد موجوده في نتفليكس اللي هي ذا انجلش جيم. انجلش جيم مسلسل 6 حلقات، مسلسل قصير يشرح جميع التفاصيل. ديف just to make sure the rules or the tradition is it if they draw 3 times the game number 4th, if they draw a number 4 game, there is a penalties.
There was them going to extra time and penalties.
So 4 times maximum.
It'd be the third replay. So you played the game once, and then you've had 2 replays where they haven't had a result. I think It goes to the third replay. Then they had a penalties, and they had
So in game 3 or game 4, the penalties?
game. Let's say third replay, so it'll be fourth game because there's a
the fourth game. المباراة الرابعة اللي إذا تعادلوا فيها يصير فيها بلنتي. يعني خلاص إلى متى راح يتعادلون. Let's finish with this, Dave. World Cup, is it coming home? Of course, for England, not for Saudi Arabia.
I was going to say, because my team didn't qualify.
I forget that. But no, let's speak about England. About England.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Why?
I would like to think that England might do as well as what they did in the European Championships, but I think they're not as accomplished as what they were in the European Championships. I mean, Harry Maguire has had, since he'd come back from the European Championships, has had a complete nightmare. You know, he was doing well in the World Cup in Russia. He did well in the European Championships, and then he's had a complete nightmare since then. So no, I don't think England will win it. I'd like.
I'm very surprised why he didn't bring Dan Burn, for example.
Yeah, he's still got a chance to do that. There's nothing to say that he won't select Dan Burn, because Dan's he's doing a good job, and he's still got he's still got time to prove himself. You know, he's got that time. He's got now until the mid-season break to prove himself. Let's hope he can do that. Not just Dan Burn as well, but there's other players out there who will want to prove themselves as well.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for the World Cup. Isaac فكرة for Saudi Arabia, my team. I hope at least we go from the groups stage, because last time we did the group stage was first time 94, and since that then we just been out every World Cup in the group stage.
But Gulf football has changed quite a lot in the last 10 years. Eastern
yes, of course, but it's always hard in the group stage for all teams. Even sometimes the World Cup winner struggle in the groups. So groups is because in the groups everybody excited, everybody play the maximum, so it's not easy.
No,
not easy.
I think with Saudi Arabia being the opening game of the ceremony, that's great. That's great for Saudi Arabia to be the opening game. Is that what I'm right?
I'm not really sure. I don't think so.
I think Saudi Arabia are first game.
I think Qatar.
No, I think Saudi Arabia first game.
Sure.
I don't think yeah, I'll have to check it up.
أنا أعتقد المباراة الافتتاحية قطر والإكوادور. I forget, but not Saudi Arabia.
Are you sure?
Is it? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure.
I'm going to check that.
Okay, let's find out now.
Yeah.
معقول السعودية؟ أنا ما أعتقد، ولكن علقت المعلومة في ذهني. Usually the hosts will play first.
Yeah, that's what they thought, but they had to be. But they're playing a couple of days later, so they had to bring the game forward because the whole competition starting a couple of days earlier. Let's have a look at this. World Cup opening game.
قاعدين نشوف ايش مباراة افتتاحية كأس العالم ما نعرف. ديف يقول السعودية، أنا أعتقد قطر. هذا العرف إنه دائما المضيف يبدأ. مش تغير عاد.
You're right. You're right. It's Qatar play Ecuador in Group
yes.
A.
Yeah, I remember Ecuador and Qatar. Just
I thought that's something that was.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia was in Russia that time after the special vitamin. The Russian team take the لا نسيت ايش معك من النشاطات. سبيشال فيتامين.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they play very good.
I'd hurt.
Forbidden substance. All right.
Yeah.
So we wish all the luck for Saudi Arabia and
Yeah,
England
definitely.
for the World Cup, and we're gonna enjoy it. And we have special, of course, shows and a lot of good news. Hopefully, just waiting to be confirmed to announce in the channel نيوكاسل Daily channel. في أخبار إن شاء الله حلوة، لكن ننتظر وقت يعني عشان بس نتأكد منها بشكل رسمي. We would like to thank you, Dave, for the show tonight. That was lovely from you. National Day in such a short notice. Thank you, really appreciate it.
Happy birthday, Saudi Arabia. Happy birthday.
شكرا لكم للمتابعة، ويوم وطني سعيد. نلتقيكم بإذن الله قريبا. شكرا لكم وتصبحون على خير.
Oh, he's gone. He's still there? You've gone. You've left me live, Al Walid.